Every day people lie to you, sometimes with a smile, sometimes with a promise, sometimes with behavior that looks completely trustworthy on the surface. And the dangerous part is that the biggest mistakes in life often begin with trusting the wrong person at the wrong time. Machiavelli believed that those who understand human nature gain an advantage that others never see. Because when you can recognize hidden motives before everyone else, you stop becoming a victim of other people's decisions. You start making your own. In this video, you'll learn how to think strategically, detect lies, and make smarter decisions in a world where appearances are often designed to mislead you. Before we move forward, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I choose clarity over comfort. Let's begin. Number 1. Watch what people do, not what they say. Let me ask you something direct. How many times has someone told you exactly what you wanted to hear and then done the complete opposite? It happens constantly, and yet people keep getting surprised by it. Why? Because we are wired to respond to words. A well-delivered promise feels like something real. A convincing apology feels like change. A confident statement of loyalty feels like a guarantee. None of those feelings are based on evidence. They're based on sound. Words require nothing from the person saying them. Zero effort, zero sacrifice, zero follow-through needed in the moment. You can say, "I'm completely honest," while hiding something important. You can say, "I'll always be there," while already planning your exit. You can describe yourself as reliable, while your actual behavior tells a completely different story to anyone watching closely enough. Actions are different. Actions have a cost. Showing up consistently costs time. Following through when it's inconvenient costs effort. Staying loyal when there's something to gain from switching sides costs real sacrifice. You cannot fake that across dozens of situations over a long stretch of time. The performance always breaks down eventually. So here's the shift you need to make. Stop treating what people say as information. Start treating it as a question. The promise opens an observation period. The behavior closes it. Did they do what they said? Did they do it when it was hard? Did they do it without being reminded or chased down? That follow-through, especially the unprompted, inconvenient kind, is where you find out who someone actually is. Here's a specific thing to watch that most people completely miss. How does someone behave after they've already gotten what they wanted from a situation? Before the gain, they're attentive, warm, communicative. After the gain, does that same energy continue, or does it quietly disappear? A person who treats you well only while they need something from you is not treating you well. They are managing you. And there's a significant difference between those two things. Watch how people talk about others when those people aren't in the room. This one is extremely reliable, and almost nobody uses it deliberately. If someone consistently speaks about absent people with contempt, mockery, or quiet dismissal, understand that you are not exempt from that treatment. The way a person speaks about others in private is the way they speak about you when you're not there. That's not a sometimes thing. That's who they are. Watch how a person handles being publicly wrong. A person who can say, "I was wrong, here's what I missed, here's what I'm going to do differently." That person has real self-awareness. A person who twists every situation so they never bear any responsibility, who always finds an external reason for every failure. That pattern will cost you every single time you depend on them for something that matters, because they cannot fix what they will never admit. And watch the small commitments, not the big dramatic promises. Those are easy to make and easy to explain away. The small things. Did they send what they said they would? Did they show up when they said they would? Did they remember what mattered to you without being prompted? Small follow-through has no audience. There's no performance incentive. It's just who a person is. And that's exactly why it's such reliable data. Drop this affirmation in the comments. Actions never lie. Number 2. Learn to see hidden motives. Nobody does anything without a reason, not a favor, not a conflict, not a sudden display of generosity. Every single action connects to something the person wants, fears, or is trying to protect. Most people only ever see the surface reason, the explanation they were handed. Strategic thinkers ask one level deeper. What does this person actually gain from this situation playing out the way they're pushing for it to play out? That question alone changes your entire read of most situations. Machiavelli watched the political courts of Italy operate for decades, and the pattern he documented was consistent. Every alliance had an interest underneath it. Every display of loyalty had a calculation attached to it. Every act of apparent selflessness concealed a deeper self-interest that only became visible when circumstances changed. He wasn't cynical, he was accurate. And accuracy in reading human behavior is what kept him relevant across 5 centuries. Here's a specific and underused technique for identifying hidden motive. Watch what someone does in situations where there is genuinely nothing to gain. No audience, no benefit, no future use for the impression they might make. A person who is generous, honest, or reliable only when it serves them is not generous, honest, or reliable. A person who maintains those qualities in situations where there's nothing in it for them, that's a person whose behavior comes from actual character rather than calculation. Most people never test for this distinction. Strategic thinkers do it automatically. Pay close attention to the information someone withholds. Hidden motives rarely announce themselves. They live in the silences, in what someone consistently doesn't say, doesn't bring up, doesn't volunteer, even when it's clearly relevant to the conversation. When someone's explanation of a situation consistently leaves out a part that would change your understanding of it, that omission is not accidental. People protect information that would reveal what they're actually after. The shape of what's missing tells you a lot about what's really going on. Here's another technique that very few people ever apply. Watch how someone responds when a plan they proposed starts working against them. When circumstances shift and the original agreement is no longer serving their interest, do they stay committed to what they said they wanted, or does the story quietly change? A person whose principles shift exactly when those principles become costly never actually had those principles. They had a position that happened to coincide with their interest at the time. The moment the interest moves, the position will move with it. Watch for motive in the way someone frames a situation. Everyone frames situations, including you. The question is what the frame reveals about what someone wants. If someone consistently frames situations in ways that centralize their importance, justify a particular outcome they want, or position specific people as obstacles, that framing is not neutral description. It's a constructed narrative designed to move you toward a conclusion they've already reached. Read the frame, not just the content. Also watch sudden changes in how someone treats you. If someone who previously treated you with indifference or mild interest suddenly becomes very warm, attentive, and invested, ask what changed in the situation around that shift. Something in your position, your access, or your usefulness to them changed. The warmth is real in the sense that they feel it, but it's connected to a calculation. Understanding that connection doesn't mean you have to reject the warmth. It means you understand it accurately. Now, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I see the real why. Number 3. Don't let emotions make your decisions. Emotions are powerful. That is exactly why they are dangerous in decision-making. Anger can push you into a reaction that destroys something you spent years building in 30 seconds. Fear can convince you that an opportunity is too risky when the real risk is staying where you are. Excitement can make information that should concern you feel irrelevant because the feeling is so good that you don't want to interrupt it. These aren't edge cases. They're regular human experiences that lead to some of the most costly decisions people ever make. Here's the mechanism that makes this so destructive. When you're inside a strong emotion, your brain doesn't switch into neutral analysis mode. It switches into confirmation mode. It starts finding evidence for the feeling. Anger finds more reasons to be angry. Fear finds more reasons to be afraid. Excitement finds more reasons to stay excited. You're not thinking through the situation anymore. You're building a case for continuing to feel what you're already feeling. And that case will seem completely logical from the inside, which is exactly what makes it so dangerous. Machiavelli observed this pattern in some of the most capable rulers of his era. When things were stable, they thought clearly, acted strategically, managed complexity well. But when emotional pressure hit, humiliation from an enemy, betrayal by a trusted ally, sudden fear of losing power, their decision quality collapsed. They made reactive decisions in compressed time frames that created larger problems than the ones they were reacting to. The emotion accelerated the decision at exactly the moment when slowing down was the most important thing they could do. Here's something specific about the 4 emotional states that most consistently produce poor decisions: intense anger, intense fear, intense excitement, and deep resentment. What these 4 share is that they all compress your thinking. They make a limited range of responses feel like the complete set of available options. They create urgency that usually doesn't exist. And they make the option that satisfies the emotion feel like the strategically correct option, which it almost never is. Marcus Aurelius, Roman emperor and one of the most disciplined strategic thinkers in recorded history, had a personal rule he wrote about extensively in his private journals. Before responding to anything that triggered a significant emotional reaction, he would delay. He found that the response he wanted to give at peak emotion and the response he actually wanted to give an hour later were almost never the same response. And the gap between those 2 responses was usually where the mistake lived. Here's a practical tool that works even better. Write down the decision you want to make at peak emotion and the reasoning you're using to justify it, and then read it again 12 hours later. Not to change your mind necessarily, just to see if the reasoning still holds when the feeling has dropped. You will often find that arguments that seemed airtight in the moment of intensity look very different when you're no longer inside the emotion that generated them. One more thing that most people skip: emotions carry real information. Fear tells you there's a genuine risk worth examining. Anger tells you something important was violated. Grief tells you something mattered. Don't suppress that information, use it. Extract the insight from the emotion, then make the decision with your head. Feel everything. Decide with clarity. Those 2 things are not opposites. They work together when you let them. Drop this affirmation in the comments: my mind leads me. Number 4. Pay attention to patterns. 1 action can be an accident. 2 actions can be a coincidence. But repeated behavior across time is a signal, and that signal is more honest than anything a person will ever tell you directly about themselves. Here's the mistake most people make. They evaluate others based on single moments. They see one act of generosity and conclude someone is a generous person. They experience one serious dishonesty and accept the apology and move forward as if the incident was isolated. They see a troubling behavior and choose to believe it was situational, not characteristic. They never zoom out and look at the full picture, all of the behavior across all of the situations over a meaningful amount of time. The reason individual moments mislead is simple. Individual moments are manageable. A person who wants to maintain a specific image with you can deliver one impressive performance. They can apologize convincingly once. They can be reliable for a stretch when they know they're being evaluated. What they cannot do is maintain a fundamentally false version of themselves across dozens of situations, over months, under different kinds of pressure, with different things at stake. The real pattern will always surface eventually. Your job is to observe long enough to see it. Here's a specific pattern that Machiavelli highlighted repeatedly in his study of political behavior, the pattern of how people treat those they no longer need. After a deal is done, after the useful connection has served its purpose, after the moment of dependence has passed, does someone maintain genuine engagement with people who helped them get somewhere, or do they quietly disappear once the value has been extracted? That post-usefulness behavior is one of the most reliable predictors of character you will ever find. It shows you how someone actually values connection versus how they value what connection can produce for them. Watch how someone's story about the same event changes across multiple tellings. This is subtle but extremely revealing. People who are being straightforward tell the same story the same way across multiple conversations because they're reporting what happened. People who are constructing a narrative, protecting themselves, managing perception, covering something, tend to adjust details across retellings. The cast of characters shifts slightly, the timeline adjusts, their own role in the story gets progressively more favorable. These aren't always dramatic changes. They're small, but they accumulate into a pattern that you can only see if you're paying attention across time. Here's another pattern most people overlook entirely. Watch how someone responds when things go right for someone else. Not once, consistently. A person who is genuinely secure in themselves can celebrate someone else's success without making it about themselves, without finding a but, without quietly undermining the achievement with a well-placed observation. A person who consistently finds something to diminish in other people's wins, who always has a reason why the success was luck or circumstance or less impressive than it looks. That pattern of subtle diminishment is not just a social habit. It tells you something important about how they'll respond when you succeed at something, and what they'll say about it when you're not listening. Watch patterns in how people manage information over time. A person who consistently shares credit, consistently acknowledges others' contributions, consistently volunteers information that would be useful to you even when it's not directly requested, that pattern is a pattern of real generosity. A person who consistently takes credit, who consistently mentions their own role more prominently than others, who consistently withholds information that would be useful to you if it also gives away something about themselves. That pattern is a pattern of self-protection that will eventually cost you. Strategic thinkers are patient evaluators. They don't rush to judgment, but they also don't allow good performances in individual moments to override what the accumulated pattern is clearly showing them. Time is the most reliable test of character. Give it time. Watch what it reveals. Number 5. Understand what people really want. Every person is driven by desire. Even people who've convinced themselves they're above wanting things are driven by the desire to be seen as above wanting things. The desire is always there. The only variable is how well it's hidden. Some people want respect more than money. Some want control more than connection. Some want certainty so badly that they'll consistently choose a known bad situation over an unknown potentially good one, because the uncertainty of the unknown feels more threatening than the known difficulty of staying. Some people want to be admired so deeply that every significant decision they make gets filtered through one question they'd never admit to asking: how will this look? These core desires don't just influence behavior, they drive it. And when you understand what's driving someone's behavior, the decisions they make, including the ones that seemed strange or inconsistent, start making complete sense. Machiavelli's sharpest insight on this was practical. He wrote that men in general are ungrateful, fickle, false, cowardly, and covetous, not as a moral judgment, but as an observation about what happens when self-interest and declared values come into conflict. When someone's real desire conflicts with the position they've publicly taken, they will almost always follow the desire and find a way to explain why their public position still holds. Understanding this saves you from enormous confusion about why people say one thing and consistently do another. Here's how to identify what someone actually wants beneath the stated want. Watch disproportionate reactions. When something relatively minor triggers a much larger response than the situation seems to call for, that disproportionality is pointing at something the person values deeply and feels threatened about. The size of the reaction is a measure of the importance of the thing being threatened. Machiavelli specifically noted that people will tolerate losing almost anything before they'll tolerate losing what they've built their sense of themselves around. When you see an extreme reaction, note carefully what triggered it. That's a window straight into their core. Watch what they do with time when nothing is required of them. Discretionary time is one of the clearest windows into real priority. What someone chooses to do when they could do anything, what they read, what they pursue, what they build when there's no external requirement pushing them, that's genuine desire expressing itself without a performance layer over it. Watch what a person is consistently willing to be uncomfortable for. Not occasionally, not when they have to be. Consistently, voluntarily. People endure discomfort for things they genuinely care about. A person who consistently shows up for something despite the difficulty, despite the inconvenience, despite the personal cost, that thing is a genuine priority. Not a stated one, a real one. Watch what someone talks about when the conversation has no agenda. In relaxed, unstructured moments, when there's nothing to negotiate, nothing to gain, nothing to prove, what does a person naturally drift toward talking about? What ideas excite them? What situations frustrate them? What possibilities do they keep returning to? Those unguarded conversational patterns reveal what's actually alive in that person's thinking. And what's alive in someone's thinking is what they actually want. Understanding real desire doesn't make you manipulative. It makes you accurate. And accurate reading of what drives people is the foundation of every good decision you will ever make about who to trust, who to work with, and who to keep at a careful distance. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I see real desires. Number 6. Learn to question appearances. What you see is not always what is real. The most dangerous deceptions are not the clumsy ones. They're the convincing ones, the ones so well constructed that questioning them feels unreasonable. Confidence can be rehearsed until it looks completely authentic. Warmth can be deployed strategically as a tool for creating trust. Generosity can be used to build obligation in the other person without them ever realizing a transaction is occurring. And honesty, this is the subtle one. Honesty can be technically accurate while being completely misleading. Showing you truths that build the impression you're supposed to have, while keeping out of sight the truths that would change your picture entirely. Machiavelli wrote something that cuts right to this. Everyone sees what you appear to be, but few experience what you actually are. The performance of trustworthiness is far more visible than the actual practice of it. And because most people judge by what they see, and stop looking once they've formed an impression, a skilled performance is often more durable than genuine character, at least in the short term. Here's the cognitive trap that makes appearances so effective. Once you form a strong positive impression of someone, your brain starts protecting that impression automatically. It amplifies information that confirms the impression, It minimizes or explains away information that challenges it. This is confirmation bias, and it doesn't just affect people who are naive or inexperienced. It affects everyone who forms a judgment before they have complete information, which in practice is everyone in almost every situation. The fix is deliberate. You have to actively look for disconfirming information because your brain will not find it on its own once an impression is set. After you form a positive impression of someone, consciously ask yourself, what would I need to see to change this assessment? What would a person have to do for me to reconsider? If you can't answer that question, if there is literally nothing that would change your view, you're not evaluating a person, you're protecting an impression. Here's a specific test that is simple and extremely effective. Give a person a minor responsibility or a piece of non-critical information and watch what they do with it before you give them anything significant. Not as a trap, just as data collection. A person's real character is consistent regardless of the stakes. The way they handle small trust is a direct preview of how they'll handle large trust, because it's the same person operating in both situations. Only the opportunity changes. Watch for people who are dramatically different in public versus private contexts. Some people have a public persona, confident, generous, principled, and a private reality that barely resembles it. The size of the gap between those two versions is a direct measure of how much of what you're seeing is constructed versus real. A person who is largely consistent across contexts, who holds the same values whether or not they're being observed, who doesn't shift dramatically based on the audience, that consistency itself is meaningful data. Not conclusive, but meaningful. Watch for what Machiavelli called the appearance of virtue versus the substance of it. Someone who talks about their principles frequently and publicly is often doing so because the talking serves a purpose. A person who actually lives by principles rarely needs to announce them. Their behavior makes the announcement. When someone's stated values need constant verbal reinforcement, ask yourself what the reinforcement is actually for. Sometimes it's for you, sometimes it's for them, a way of managing their own self-image. Either way, the frequency of the announcement is inversely correlated with the depth of the conviction. Now, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I look past surfaces. Number 7. Think long-term. Before you act. Most people make decisions based on what the moment is demanding, the pressure of right now, the feeling of right now, the social expectation of right now, and then they spend months, sometimes years, managing the fallout from a decision that took 30 seconds to make. This is not a character flaw. It's a design feature of how human beings process decisions under pressure. When something demands a response, the brain wants to produce one immediately. Delay feels like weakness. Hesitation feels like losing ground. Acting feels like control. So people act, and often they act before they've thought through what they're actually doing. Here's what Machiavelli observed about this in the political leaders he studied. The ones who made their worst decisions consistently made them under time pressure, when they felt they had to respond immediately or lose something. That pressure, real or manufactured, compressed their thinking at exactly the moment when they needed to expand it. And the decisions made in that compressed thinking almost always created larger problems downstream than the ones they were designed to solve. There's a concept in chess called zugzwang, a situation where any move you make weakens your position, so the best move would be to not move at all. But the rules of chess require you to move. In real life, there is no such requirement. In most situations that feel urgent, you actually have more time than the pressure is suggesting. The urgency is often a feature of the situation being presented to you, not a feature of the situation itself. And recognizing the difference between real urgency and manufactured urgency is one of the most valuable skills a strategic thinker can develop. Here's how to apply long-term thinking practically before you make significant decisions. Run the decision forward to 6 months, 12 months, 3 years, not just what happens next, all the way out. If this plays out the way you think it will, what does your actual position look like at each of those time points? What resources do you have? What options are available to you? What options have been closed off? Some decisions that produce immediate relief quietly eliminate options you're going to need later. The short-term win that costs you long-term flexibility is almost never actually a win. Ask specifically, does this decision expand my future or narrow it? Every significant choice either opens up more possibilities or reduces them. A decision that feels powerful in the moment but locks you into a smaller set of future options is a decision that's costing you more than it appears to. Strategic thinkers think in terms of optionality. They try to keep their future open, to preserve the ability to move in multiple directions, rather than committing everything to one path before they have to. Understand the compounding effect of small decisions. Most people think of long-term thinking as something that applies only to major choices, but small decisions compound just as surely as large ones do. How you handle small situations builds patterns. Those patterns build reputation. That reputation shapes what opportunities come to you and which ones stay away. A person who consistently makes small decisions that reflect patience, integrity, and clear thinking will find that their environment shifts toward them over time in ways that cannot be traced to any single choice. Here's the hardest part of long-term thinking to actually practice: sitting with discomfort in the present because you're clear on where you need to be later. This is what separates strategic thinkers from reactive ones more than anything else. The ability to tolerate present difficulty, present uncertainty, present pressure, present frustration, without letting that discomfort force a premature decision. Not because you're passive, because you understand that the decision made from discomfort will cost you more than the discomfort you're trying to escape. The question that cuts through almost every decision clearly is this: am I solving an actual problem, or am I relieving a feeling? Solving a problem changes your situation. Relieving a feeling changes your emotional state temporarily, while leaving the problem intact, often larger than it was before. When you can answer that question honestly before you act, the quality of your decisions changes immediately and permanently. Here's the thread that runs through every single lesson in this video. None of this is about becoming suspicious. None of it is about moving through life like you're surrounded by people who are out to get you. If that's what you take from Machiavelli, you've taken the wrong thing. And you've given yourself a reason not to apply the real lesson. The real lesson is accuracy. Seeing people as they demonstrate themselves to be, not as you want them to be. Making decisions based on observed reality instead of comfortable assumption. Understanding human nature well enough that you stop being genuinely surprised when people act in their own interest, and start building your life in ways that account for that reality instead of being blindsided by it. Watch behavior over time, not words in the moment. Look beneath surface actions for the motives that drive them. Keep your emotions as information, not as decision makers. Read accumulated patterns instead of isolated incidents. Understand what people actually want beneath what they claim to want. Question appearances before you trust them, and think past the immediate moment to the position you're building toward. These are not complicated ideas. They are simple ideas that require consistency to apply. And applied consistently, they will change the quality of every significant decision you make. If this video gave you even one shift in how you think about a person or a situation in your life, share it right now. Hit the like button. It genuinely helps this content reach people who need it. Subscribe to this channel because there is a lot more coming that builds directly on what you just learned. Deeper thinking on strategy, human behavior, and decision-making that most people never encounter. And drop your affirmation from today in the comments. Tell me which one landed hardest. Stay sharp. Think long. See clearly.